Got it. So a quick riff on the supplier onboarding process. So this is all about getting them onboarded, but I want to go and highlight the process and what it looks like once you've actually onboarded the supplier. And we're going to get into this stuff later. Let me just highlight this real quick. So when you actually have a supplier and you're on the phone call with them and you've gotten their approval, they send you over the application, and you get the data from them. Those are all the different ways you can get the data. You also want to get reviews. So get their approval. Say, hey, I also would like to get the reviews. Is it okay if I get the reviews directly from your site? Or is it possible you could also send over the reviews? I'll be honest with you, a lot of suppliers just say, just go ahead and get it from the site, right? So we get their approval to export their reviews. And also we could ask for any like promotional material, or if they have like, I don't know, high quality images, anything that you might think that they could give you that would help with selling the products. This is where your goals are aligned, right? Your goal is to work together with them as a partner to sell their products through your brand. So that's their interest. So if there's anything along that vein that's going to assist you to sell their products, they're going to be willing to work together with you. And also, as you're purchasing products, you might want to highlight and just briefly cover when you have orders, how do you actually process it with them? You know what I mean? Do they have a card on file? Do you have to send a wire? Preferably, we always want to go with a card if possible. Do you just log into the back end and make the purchase? Do you have a coupon code that you use on their site and you just buy it directly? Do you have to work out if there's a more expensive product? You could have not expensive, a heavy product. Then you could have examples of like, okay, now we have to consider shipping, and how does shipping work? So with shipping, it's all about just okay, so quickly on shipping. Doesn't require a whole section. I can just highlight it here in this video. So when you're working with vendors and you're shipping something, if it's heavy products, they might have a lift gate. Okay, so a lift gate, what that is that's a machine that goes on the back of a box truck, so typical standard box truck, and that is going to lower or raise the product from the ground. Right, so a lot of these products are shipping via freight. Some of them are shipping, normal USPS, but depending on the weight or the size, they're typically going by box truck. So in that case, if you need a liftgate service, that thing that brings it down to the ground, there's a fee for that. That's just a part of the shipping fee. So you might want to work out these details, right? Do they have like tiered shipping zones, meaning if you ship to zone 1, it's this fee. If it ships to zone 2, it's this fee, etc. Right? So there's different strategies and styles on how they kind of set up their shipping. The ultimate goal here is to have free shipping on your store and to have your pricing incorporate the shipping cost into the price that you're selling the product for. So you'll typically, we're looking to negotiate the best margins possible. There's also other companies we could also use. When it comes to shipping, you generally have two options. You could either use their internal, their shipping company. If they offer that, a lot of manufacturers will offer their own shipping company, or you could use your own shipping company. I'll put a link to the one that I use below this video if you want to use your own. It is good to have your own, but not required. So what I would do is work with suppliers, like as you're out doing outbound reach, just go ahead and use their shipping company in the beginning. Especially, it removes a lot of the headache on your side as far as managing the shipping. If the manufacturer deals with it directly, they have a system dialed in. So typically I'm going to use their shipping. But there are some vendors, they stop offering shipping, things change, then I'll use my own shipping company as a plan B, so to speak. So that's the main process. They're going to ask you for that reseller certificate, the tax. They might get your tax ID in the application, of course. You have the rebuttals for handling objections. You get their all of their product SKUs. As soon as they send those over, make sure you send the application within 24 hours. And then the next step So that really encompasses the entire supplier conversation. We want to keep onboarding suppliers consistently. Don't think that, okay, I have 20 suppliers, that, okay, I have enough. That's not correct. You want to keep onboarding as a normal day-to-day function of growing your store, especially when it comes to pre-orders or back orders. And I'll highlight that again towards the middle of phase 4 and how we deal with those and handle those. So, but briefly speaking, we just want to capture them and prepay through the supplier if possible. Okay, so now we have our demo products. Supplier looks at our store. We had our call with them. We got an agreement for them to onboard. We sent off the application. They sent us over their product listing. We have all of their details. I'm also going to ask them for UPC codes. This is like barcodes for each product. So some manufacturers will say, oh yeah, no problem, I'll send those over. Some manufacturers are not going to have them, in which case we can try to Google them, but we'll be highlighting that later down in this section more. So for now, this will conclude the section of actually like onboarding and reaching out to suppliers. The next section here, we're going to get deeper into adding their products and doing a full explanation of actually adding the products. And this is a process you're going to have to get comfortable with, because as you get new products from suppliers, you have to add their products into the store. So you're going to constantly be doing this, and eventually, for me, my main store has around 12,000 products, maybe 12,500, I think. So this is something, it's generally the first process that I outsource. It's when I'm hiring a VA or when I'm working with someone, I always have them start here, because this is what I consider kind of the core discipline or core knowledge necessary to build up from as far as a virtual assistant. We haven't got into outsourcing, etc., but just keep in mind that this is something that can get very repetitive as you're doing it 200, 300, 400, 500 times. So in the beginning, this also explains why it's key that we onboard suppliers who we really are excited to work together with, who we think would really match our store. As you're going through this process, you don't want to waste your time even onboarding or adding products that you think like, hey, these are not really going to be matching what I'm looking for. And then later, even as you develop, people reach out to you and say, hey, I'd like to onboard with you. So that happens as well. Okay, so once we get into the explanation, then we're going to be setting up our Google Merchant Center. This is what allows us to actually take all this data that we have in Shopify and then sends it all directly over to Google. Google organizes it and then gets it ready and prepared to be displayed. And then we run our advertising in phase 4, which allows us to actually display the products. But we have to set up the Merchant Center first. And then kind of simultaneously, while we're setting up the Merchant Center, we're going to be identifying our free gift offer. This is a key component of why these stores convert so well. It's really powerful. It drives sales. And now that we've had a few merchants onboarded and some products in the store, then we can start to dial in that offer and get it targeted. After that, we'll be importing those reviews that we got from the manufacturers into judge.me and displaying them on the site with that banner that I mentioned previously. We'll be setting up the feed and again, UPC codes, making sure that all of our when things are submitted to the Merchant Center, sometimes they might have like a yellow warning or they might get denied, and we have to work through those errors and get everything solved out. So because of that, we have to make sure one of the most common things, rather, is the codes, the barcodes. So the barcode's not being in. So I have kind of a sneaky tip to solve that problem. And then just general overall optimizing and troubleshooting for the Merchant Center, going over some high-level things to keep in mind, and just explaining it kind of in more detail. So that is the first portion of the supplier training. We're going to get right into adding the products for the suppliers that you've onboarded. So if you have not onboarded or called or reached out to any suppliers up till this point, don't continue. You want to stop right here. You want to make sure that you get your Excel sheet filled out. You want to get that fully optimized, and then you want to use this scripting, and you want to start actually getting on the phone with suppliers, and you want to start getting them to their approval to work together, and then you want to start adding their products to the store, which we're going to go into next. I also just want to highlight there's a section here at the back, which I think I skipped over. If you are from overseas or abroad, and you are opening up your store in the United States, this is just a little bit of positive feedback and a few things to keep in mind if perhaps you are outside of the country doing your best to break into the United States market for high-ticket dropshipping. This is going to be a few things which will just assist you, and even the U.S. guys, you'll get some additional context or another perspective on things that we kind of take for granted as far as just being able to communicate effectively with each other, right? So anyway, this goes into for international customers, international people who've signed up for the course, and this will put this part a little bow on this section, and we're going to go ahead and get right into adding the supplier products. If you don't have suppliers onboarded yet, pause the video, onboard suppliers, get their products, and come back to the next video when you have their products ready to add. Awesome. See you soon.